What is up, everybody? Welcome into the show. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. Coming up here on the show today, bye week changes for the Niners and points of emphasis that I want to see the Niners pinpoint here during their bye week. San Francisco is rolling right now, 9-4. Three-game winning streak going into the bye week, then coming off of it, the Tennessee Titans, followed by a slate full of playoff-worthy games that are going to have a playoff-level intensity. So over the next several minutes, changes and things that the Niners can do to crush this stretch run and really emphasize during that bye week. But I do want to begin here. I want to know, how are you going to spend your bye week? You're going to have a stress-free weekend. You're not going to have to worry about a Niners game that might come down to the wire where we're all on pins and needles on the end of our seats. So let me know how you're going to spend that bye week. Always love chopping it up with all of you down in the comment section. All right, bye week change number one. I want to see the Niners move Spencer Burford to left guard full-time. Over the last few weeks since he's come back and since Ben Bartch has come back, we've seen that left guard rotation. I don't want to see the Niners roll with a rotation any longer, and it can't be a Burford-Bartch rotation because in that Cleveland game, Bartch, who suffered from a lot of injuries throughout his career, suffered a Lisfranc injury to his foot, most likely going to be out for the rest of the year. The other injury coming out of that Browns game, Kyle Juszczyk with that ribs fracture. We'll see how he's holding up going into that Titans game, but obviously, Juice is Mr. Tough. And Burford has had a lot of ups and downs throughout his Niners career. He pretty much started every game as a rookie. In 2023, obviously the infamous play in the Super Bowl where he didn't block Chris Jones, missed his assignment there. But let's give credit where credit is due. After missing some time, he's come back. He's played pretty well. And honestly, against Cleveland, who has a really good defensive line, I thought Burford popped on a couple of reps. And this season, in 212 total snaps, limited due to injury, but still a good sample size there, only has been penalized one time, has only given up one sack of Mac Jones or Brock Purdy, has only surrendered one quarterback hit, and hasn't given up too many pressures, 10 of them up until this point. So Burford full-time at that left guard spot. He played a little bit of tackle in college. The Niners tried to experiment with him at tackle in the preseason. He's too slow. He has to be an interior offensive lineman, and now he's got an opportunity to really prove that he can be a legitimate player at that guard spot for this stretch run for San Francisco. To topic number two, point of emphasis number two. This efficient offense must continue for the final month of the season. And during the Niners' three-game winning streak, we've seen them really be efficient in a couple of key categories. As they've won these three games in a row, with Brock Purdy starting all of those games, they've been number 2 in third down conversion rate, number 4 in success rate, number 8 in expected points added per play. Now, some of the explosive plays downfield have been lacking, but the Niners have been a more efficient offense as they've gotten healthier here over the last few weeks. And so what Purdy has to do is try to tame that gunslinger voice in his head. Against Carolina, it got him. And obviously the timing was a little bit off on a couple of those throws, but he also made some mistakes and didn't put a lot of velocity behind the ball. I thought there was a step forward in that Cleveland game with him throwing the ball in bad weather, cold, wind, and I thought that he looked better as far as the velo, as far as the oomph on some of his passes, and he said that the toe is getting better every single week. And why it's so important for Purdy to tame that gunslinger voice in his head, which sometimes tempts him to want to play hero ball and take risks downfield, because this defense is a mediocre defense just because of all of the injuries and some of the personnel that they have there, even though they've been playing well over the last few weeks. The margin for error for this team, also due to a lack of talent, is pretty thin. And so from here on out, the Niners are capable of really contending or competing with anybody, in my opinion. Not if they make mistakes, though, especially on offense, which then makes the defense's job a lot harder. So San Francisco, with this sample size, the last 3 games, last 3 wins have shown they can be successful while efficient. playing safe and efficient takes the pressure off of this defense, which, again, has been trending upward, making a lot of improvements. But when they go up against better offenses, obviously they're going to be taxed a little bit more. George Kittle, he's really started to come on as he's gotten healthier since his return. And I want to see the Niners keep George Kittle hot. Obviously, ever since Brock Purdy came into the league in 2022, Kittle's touchdown numbers have skyrocketed, and his production's been incredible. And he's played at an all-pro level, and I still think he's the best all-around tight end in the game. But coming off that hamstring injury, he was slow to produce for San Francisco. Now, he did make an impact outside of that, and it's been in the ground game because he's such a good blocker, and defenses have to account for him as a blocker and as a pass catcher. But as far as his receiving repertoire, it's gotten better and it's increased here of late. So he comes back against Atlanta after he had missed all that time with that hamstring injury from the injury that he suffered in week 1, and he was only targeted 2 times, had 0 catches. But in that game, the Niners ran it 39 times, and it was their most successful running performance to date. And I think that was a big reason, George Kittle's return, was a big reason why the Niners were able to find success on the ground, really for the first time all season. Against Houston, with Mac Jones still at quarterback, remember Mac threw that tight window throw and threw it up for grabs for Kittle, and somehow he came down with it? He had 4 catches for 43 yards and that touchdown in that game. Against the Giants, Mac Jones still in, 4 targets, 4 catches, 32 yards, no touchdowns. And then with Mac again against the Rams, he was targeted 9 times, had 9 catches on those 9 targets, 84 yards and a touchdown. Purdy comes back in Arizona, and that's when Kittle has really started to take a leap on top of that Rams game with his receiving production. 6 targets, 6 catches, 67 yards and 2 touchdowns. Against Carolina, 10 targets, 6 grabs, 78 yards. And then against Cleveland, 5 targets, 4 catches, 67 yards, including that 33-yard bomb down the field right before halftime, a huge play. So as he's gotten healthier, he's gotten more involved in the pass game, and obviously he continues to build that rapport with Brock Purdy. And even though he missed all that time, he's still having a very highly productive season. In 8 games, he has 37 catches, 396 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Now, coming up next here, we're going to start to look ahead bye week after the bye week with this ball club. And you look at this Niners remaining schedule here, this is going to be a blast, ladies and gentlemen, for the final 4 games and now 5 weeks of the season. Bye week in week 14 for San Francisco. They play the Titans at Levi's Stadium in week 15, on the road against the Colts on Monday Night Football, at home against the Bears on Sunday Night Football, and then they host the Seahawks in a game that could be huge to round out the regular season. Colts, playoff team. Bears, playoff team. Seahawks, playoff team. And so with that, I ask you this. What will the Niners' record be the last 4 games of the 2025 campaign? Again, Titans, Colts, Bears, Seahawks. Sound off with what you think down below. Our sponsor for today's San Francisco 49ers Report, we are brought to you by PrizePicks, the #1 fantasy sports app in the game. Join the millions of users, sign up today, and you won't regret it. PrizePicks is simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you could really cash in big time. And it's made game days so much more fun for me. In addition to producer Chip, this is something that we always enjoy doing for every single Niners game. And look, you think about where we are right now, beginning of December. It's the holiday season, the best time of year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which games to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right, and that is PrizePicks. You can get your picks in less than 60 seconds. They have a new feature. PrizePicks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out of those winnings before the game even finishes. And we have a 3-pick power play. Buffalo, Cincinnati, James Cook, more on the 99.5 rushing yards. Joe Burrow more on the 253.5 passing yards. And then Emeka Egbuka, the rookie, having a really good season out of Ohio State, more than 60.5 receiving yards. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, more bye week changes here for San Francisco. This defense needs to keep improving for the Niners. And during this 3-game winning streak, the offense has done what I said it needed to do. Carry the load for this football team. Let the defense catch up, because there were going to be some blemishes and growing pains for this Niners defense. But we've seen them grow up before our very eyes, and Robert Saleh has done a hell of a job. I mean, all season long, when you're without Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, the likes of those players who are all-time legends for the Niners and all-time greats, Saleh's made chicken salad out of chicken shit. Points given up in this 3-game winning streak: 22 against Arizona, 9 against Carolina, 8 against Cleveland. And don't hit me with it's an easy schedule. There are no cupcake games in the NFL. And for the Niners to do that with the lack of personnel that they have, it makes it more impressive in my opinion. A key, too, is that the Niners have forced 7 turnovers during this 3-game winning streak. And they've been better against the run since that Rams loss when they couldn't stop the run. And when that happens, you lose control of the game. 36 yards given up on the ground against Arizona, 69 against Carolina, 138 against Cleveland, but that's all that Cleveland could do, run the football, because they couldn't throw it at all. And here's a defensive guide to success, things of emphasis for the Niners that they can really point to here going into the bye week and out of it for the final 4 games. Hopefully, Cleveland Ferrell and Keion White can continue to provide a really solid pass rush for San Francisco. And what I had said when the Niners didn't make a move at the NFL trade deadline, right, is that everybody else is going to have to elevate their games. Well, we've seen that from Ferrell. We've seen that from White. What's also been key is that the back-end play early in the year was really lacking. This safety play has been improved during this 3-game winning streak as well, led by Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa, who I think have been more disciplined players over the last couple of weeks. I want to see Robert Saleh continue to get creative with timely blitzes, and understand sometimes it's going to burn you, but Saleh's creativeness and creativity with some of his blitz calls, how he devises them, how he draws them up, it's led to the Niners being able to generate a little bit more pressure over these last 3 games. San Francisco pretty much has to pitch a perfect game nearly on defense. Part of that, continuing to force turnovers. And all year, this Niners defense has given up yards, but they've buckled down inside the red zone. And that, to me, is the beauty of having an elite defensive play caller and game planner, that they give up long drives at times and they'll give up yards, but they're not giving up a bunch of points. The ultimate bend but do not break type of defense. And then lastly, for my bye week changes and points of emphasis here, the special teams for the Niners needs to stay productive. And all season long, Brant Boyer has done a good job of making adjustments. I mean, if you think about it, it's not just Nick Bosa and Fred Warner who have been hurt this year. The Niners have been one of the most off-injured teams in the NFL. And so Brant Boyer has had to make some changes with his personnel on special teams. But this special teams unit, which has killed this team in previous years, has really boosted this team since that Week 4 loss against Jacksonville. And John Lynch deserves a lot of credit for that Sky Moore acquisition. It's ended up being a very underrated move for San Francisco. And you think about some of the splash plays that he's had, obviously the 2 big ones that come to mind, the 98-yard kickoff return to start the game against Arizona. Last week, the 66-yard punt return. So he's doing it as a return man, returning kicks and punts. And when you can flip the field or give your offense a short field, it's huge. And that's why over the last few years, I kept pounding the table saying, Kyle, I know you love offense, but you need to put more of an emphasis on special teams. And we've seen the benefits of that this year. And then at the field goal kicker spot, the Niners, thankfully, finally moved off of Jake Moody. Well, Eddie Pinheiro went 22 of 22 prior to his injury, and Matt Gay, his replacement in the last 2 games, also hasn't missed. So the Niners this year, outside of Jake Moody, have not missed a field goal. Knock on wood. Hopefully I didn't jinx them there. And since Week 4, that was the game against Jacksonville, where the Niners gave up that 87-yard punt return for a touchdown to Parker Washington, which was a pretty ugly special teams breakdown. The Niners have only given up one punt return of 15-plus yards and only one kickoff return of 35-plus yards. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll play. You know, it also plays if you give me a follow on X, Instagram, and TikTok, and if you give me some more plays on all the free content I give you, I'd certainly appreciate that. I'm always talking Niners here on YouTube. I'm giving you additional content on my social media pages. Just launched that TikTok page 2 weekends ago. We're closing in on 1,000 followers already.